Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Let's talk about the inner demon trope. Everyone has intrusive thoughts, those things that pop up in your mind that you're not actually supposed to act on. I, for example, have to desperately resist glazing Jujutsu Kaisen in almost every video. I failed. In that way, our ability to resist these thoughts and temptations and not simply act on our base desires are exactly what makes us human. But obviously, there can be something incredibly interesting about exploring these intrusive desires. What happens when someone has to struggle against these thoughts, and what happens when they give in? And no better is this represented than in our fiction. Every hero should have a shadow. While some media may make the choice to highlight their characters as perfect beacons of morality that can do no wrong, other stories aren't so afraid to take a fairer approach to their protagonists. They reveal their rage, their deepest fears, and their otherwise more unacceptable elements that surely contrast their status as a hero. To that end, while fictional storytelling gives way to many great metaphors, one of my personal favorite representations of this darkness is that of the inner demon. The inner demon trope is a narrative device where a character is forced to struggle against a darker, hidden element within themselves. This force can take many different forms, from a literal evil demon monster who wants to eat babies sealed inside of their body, to literally the same character design but with evil eyes and the colors slightly shifted. At its heart, the trope serves to externalize inner conflicts. Instead of keeping doubt, hatred, or rage as invisible emotions, the story decides to make them tangible, giving them a voice, a form, or even allowing them to be a completely separate character. Because of this poignant and diverse representation of such a core idea to the nature of being human, the inner demon is one of the most engaging tropes within all of fiction. But then we have to ask, how do you make a good representation of the trope? What are some of the best examples of the trope being used in fiction? And what are some of the things authors get so right? And also, what do they get so wrong? Well, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to find out. So stick around, you might just learn something important. Gamersupps are the proud partners of today's video. I spend way too many late nights writing, editing, and rewatching anime clips. Also, working on games. You guys might get to see one of those eventually. And Gamersupps is literally the only thing keeping me awake for so long. It's 0 calories, way cheaper than energy drinks or coffee, and honestly, it tastes way better too. So if you want to support the channel and try it out for yourself, use my code PINES here at checkout for a discount. And you can even try their sample packs for free if you're interested. Links are in the description and pinned comment. Anyway, back to the video.
I don't know about Zangetsu, but I refuse to play horse to a king who's weaker than me. Someone whose uncertainty and hesitation will end up getting us both cut to pieces! If you aren't willing to assert your strength and retain the crown, then I'll destroy you. Which means I'll be king.
Form, ability, and power. Hollow Ichigo is not only one of the most interesting depictions of an inner demon within fiction, but also one of the most famous. There are countless things that make the character concept engaging, but one of the most prevalent is how the inner demon is actually tied to the protagonist. A lot of inner demons are completely separate entities, with their own histories and motives, but Hollow Ichigo is inseparable from Ichigo's psyche. That is to say, he is Ichigo stripped down to his most primal core. Like most Zanpakuto spirits, Hollow Ichigo represents a core reflection of Ichigo's inner self. On the surface, Ichigo is a character defined by a simple, reactive goal: to protect those he cares for. Because of this, he's often criticized as a character who doesn't act, but instead only reacts to the world around him. Hollow Ichigo is a direct rejection of this notion, revealing something deeper in Ichigo's characterization. Not an instinct to protect, but one to revel in battle and to survive. Through every obstacle, that primal hunger for battle grows, despite the fact that it clashes with his otherwise surface-level characterization as a noble hero. This conflict materializes as Hollow Ichigo, smug, selfish, and self-serving, the character who embodies the traits that Ichigo must undertake in order to win. This is highlighted through the process of hollowification. Early in the series, Ichigo constantly risks the threat of losing control of his body and letting the hollow wreak havoc. The inner demon allows this emotional struggle to not just be symbolic, but a tangible force that actually carries consequences within the narrative. And I think the final twist with Ichigo's inner demon is excellent. Hollow Ichigo is not something that Ichigo must simply expel or seal away. He is the very foundation of Ichigo's power. The blade is me. Rejecting him is to reject the very force that has kept Ichigo alive. So the answer is not purification, but instead integration. To move forward, Ichigo must accept White's existence, not as a separate entity, but as an integral part of himself. And I believe there is something about our own personalities and dynamics that can be learned from that. As C.G. Jung puts it, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely.
Destroy everything. Erase anything that causes you pain. Give me your soul, your spirit, your vital essence. Give it to me. And in exchange, I will rescue you from your pain.
Hatred incarnate. The Nine-Tailed Fox. From the very beginning, Kurama is portrayed much less like a character and more as a living weapon of mass destruction. I mean, that's partially because he can literally fire mountain-sized bombs from his mouth. Kurama is presented as an unstoppable force, a lawnmower tearing through both child soldiers and unsuspecting families alike. Naruto inherits this overwhelming curse at birth, being the container for such an immense monster. Naturally, his entire village rejects him, and that rejection and loneliness ends up being one of the core defining traits of his character. Because the Nine-Tails isn't some apathetic beast looking to survive. It is the embodiment of directed hatred and malice, and Naruto, as its host, is forced to carry that burden. Early within the story, the two's relationship is defined by moments of both rage and despair. Naruto's bloody red chakra cloak becomes a visual marker for when he loses control, allowing the years of anger and loneliness to begin seeping into him. My favorite visualization of this is how the more Naruto taps into Kurama's power, the more animalistic he becomes, until at the very end, he's nearly indistinguishable from that very monster that he hates. To that end, Kurama acts much like a devil on his shoulder, whispering and tempting Naruto with promises of power in exchange for control. The bargain is simple. The more Naruto surrenders himself to the Nine-Tails, the more strength he'll be given to win. This dynamic is that of power at the cost of identity, and this idea defines much of Naruto's early struggles. But the payoff of the Nine-Tails character is one of the points where Naruto's story truly shines. As much as I joke about the theme of the story being hard work beats talent, and other Naruto slander to get rage bait, I'm not so media literate that I actually think these are the cores of the story. The truly, overwhelmingly present theme of Naruto is about breaking the cycle of hatred. It's about meeting years, if not centuries, of bloodshed and hatred with compassion, trust, and forgiveness. That message plays out through characters like Obito and Sasuke, but nowhere is it more clear than with Naruto's bond with Kurama. Naruto's journey is about much more than just mastering the Nine-Tails' power. It's also about transforming their relationship from one of vapid enemies to that of lifelong friends. Unlike other inner demons who must be sealed, subjugated, or erased, Naruto must come to understand and befriend the Nine-Tails. In that way, the trope is fully redefined. The goal is not rejection, it's reconciliation. In the end, Naruto and Kurama show us that our demons, external or internal, aren't always something to be defeated. Sometimes they are something to be understood, and in doing so, the story delivers one of the most enduring lessons of kindness, redemption, and above all else, never giving up on your friends.
You really should have just burnt everything down. Burnt everything down to a cinder without giving it a thought. Casting aside race, future, everything until you finally reached Satoru Gojo. That hunger to seize your ideals, that's what you were truly lacking. Maybe you're right. Even so, you managed to entertain me a bit. I fought humans, sorcerers, and cursed spirits 1,000 years ago, and you were still one of the better ones I fought. Stand proud. You are strong.
I'm just gonna be blunt. Sukuna is one of the most fascinating and refreshing depictions of an inner demon in all of modern shonen. Unlike Kurama or Holo Ichigo, who represent suppressed aspects of their protagonist's psyches, hatred and instinct respectively, Sukuna is not a mirror of Yuji Itadori at all. If anything, the two characters are complete opposites. Sukuna is a fully formed character with his own history, motives, and personality. So while watching Jujutsu Kaisen, I kept waiting for the classic moment, the point in which the hero and their demon briefly align, gaining power for a goal that benefits both characters. That moment doesn't exist in Jujutsu Kaisen. Even when Sukuna does lend Yuji some strength for what seems like a common goal, these situations only ever twist in Sukuna's favor, often leaving Yuji far worse than before. And that's what makes Sukuna so compelling. With Kurama or Holo Ichigo, the threat is always that possibility of losing control and going on a catastrophic rampage. Keyword on possibility here. In effect, the fallout is always extremely minimal. Maybe a friend gets punched or injured, but these wounds always heal after a single arc at most, and the story completely moves on. Like, Holo Ichigo literally stabs Uryu through the chest, and that injury is almost instantly undone. Sukuna is different. When he takes over Yuji, terrible things happen. He kills Yuji outright, he permanently maims a core character, and he wipes an entire city filled with civilians off the map. His threats feel real because he's not some metaphorical shadow or some misunderstood beast. Sukuna is an actual demon, willing and eager to murder everyone around him the moment he gains control. And by far, Sukuna's strongest point is how he isn't just an internal obstacle, he's the actual central antagonist. His actions ripple out into the larger plot with massive consequences. That's something I always wanted from other inner demons in stories, for their influence to extend far beyond the protagonist's personal growth and actually begin to shape the fabric of the story itself. And Sukuna absolutely delivers on that. But the most interesting dynamic born from Sukuna's existence as an inner demon is the way he and Yuji Itadori's ideals clash, showing a stark reflection at the heart of Jujutsu Kaisen's themes. This series is mainly about finding meaning in the face of an inevitably cruel world. Yuji begins the story with an impossible optimism, believing every life is sacred and that every person deserves a proper death. Sukuna is the embodiment of the exact opposite idea, a hedonistic cruelty that destroys lives with complete indifference, a mockery to the very ideas of dignity and meaning. Sukuna could literally say, hey, I kinda feel like crushing a baby's skull today, and he'd literally just go out and do it. Thus, Yuji's main point of growth is learning to accept that, yes, some deaths will be unfair, sudden, and horrifying. But the value of someone's life does not come from seeing how someone dies, it comes from the very act of living at all, and choosing to appreciate the mundanities that come about from choosing to go on despite the overwhelming cruelty around you. That tension, Yuji's humanity versus Sukuna's hedonism, is what makes the relationship one of the most compelling versions of the inner demon that I've ever seen put to pen. The inner demon trope is almost impossible not to love. Aside from the edgy coolness of having a secret powerful demon inside of you, okay, pause. It's also a symbolic version of one of the most universal conflicts that any human can go through. That is, the battle with ourselves. Kurama, Hollow Ichigo, and Sukuna each embody different interpretations of this struggle, whether it be our suppressed nature or through juxtapositions of a character's core beliefs and traits. Together, these stories show the true versatility of this trope. It can be symbolic, psychological, or even literal, but they always work because they externalize a simple truth about being human. We all carry shadows, instincts, or fears that threaten to consume us. And whether you may choose to reject, conquer, or reconcile with them, those choices will inevitably define who you are. And that is the power of the inner demon trope. It isn't just about fighting monsters. It's about coming to terms with what you'll do and what you'll have to do when you realize that the monstrous aspect is actually a core part of who you are. Thank you for watching. What's your favorite inner demon in fiction? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to top off your gamer sub supply with my link in the description to support the channel. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.